and things of that nature. I am going to record this so we can share it with others that couldn't be here today. So just know that this session is being recorded. And it's 4 o'clock, so I think it's a good time. It's always good to get started on time. Your time is precious. So welcome to this webinar, this Zoom regarding STEM and computer science in South Carolina. My name is Joshua Snyderman. I am with Learning Blade. And our co-presenters today, I'm joined by Patty Ann Taylor. Patty, you want to say hello?
Hello there, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. And Patty, were you going to introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. We're happy to welcome Tracy Elmore, who is our 2020 STEM Educator of the Year, and she'll be here talking a little bit about how she's using Learning Blade in her classroom. So welcome, Tracy, and thanks for being here.
Great. Hey, Tracy. Yeah, you want to unmute?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody.
Awesome. So let me advance this slide. Can you see my screen, Patty Ann? Yes?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So this was sort of the overview of what we'll do today is I'm going to start with a little bit about Learning Blade, which is a program that's provided by the South Carolina Department of Education, Office of Career and Technical Education, to schools. And then we're going to talk with Tracy about her experience using Learning Blade in her classroom, as well as her experience being the STEM Educator of the Year for the state of South Carolina, which is something you all have a chance to apply for in the upcoming program. And then Patty Ann is going to talk about classroom grants, and who doesn't love that, and STEM month activities. So we've got a chock full sort of hour for you, and super excited that you made it here today. Thank you. Again, use that chat box all along the way if you have any questions or comments. So starting with Learning Blade, Computer Science Education Week is coming up. It's next Monday, and that is where we talk about the Hour of Code and CS Week. And Learning Blade actually has a mission called Intro to Computer Science. You can see that in the orange and green circles. And we think that is a wonderful engagement activity for you to use to engage students and around the careers and the opportunities in Learning Blade. And as Patty Ann will tell us later, the theme of STEM Education Month this year is See Me in STEM. And we like to think students can't be what they can't see. So exposing students to what is a computer programmer or a database administrator or a information security analyst helps them see themselves in these careers. So this is mirroring very nicely with the message of SCCMS, which is See Me in STEM. I love that. It's a beautiful theme. So a little bit about Learning Blade for the uninitiated. I see some familiar names, though, that have seen Learning Blade before, so thanks for joining. But there are 12 missions in Learning Blade, and you guys can access this. You all have access to Learning Blade, and I'll share that in a second. But each mission is 10 hours of interdisciplinary, online STEM career awareness lessons. So there's math, there's science, there's English, there's social studies, and they're looking at different career clusters. So we do have over 100 lessons for computer science and digital literacy, but we also have lessons around energy in our energy mission, so energy careers, manufacturing careers in our concept car, aerospace careers in our lightweight aircraft, and fresh food in our local food. So there's a lot of different missions that you can use in your classrooms to expose students to the career paths, so that way they can see themselves in STEM careers. And then inside of the Learning Blade platform, and Tracy will talk about how she uses some of the different elements, and I'm excited to hear that, Tracy, but there are a variety of different tools to do STEM engagement. So there's the online piece, which are, the online interactive lessons, but there's also creative challenges using recyclable materials. There's design thinking exercises, which are group collaboration, communication, and problem solving. For those of you that have 3D printers, we have 3D printer lessons. And actually for South Carolina STEM Education Month, Learning Blade will be awarding a 3D printer to a school. In addition to that, any school this year that completes 3,000 of the online lessons we will be just sending you a 3D printer. We have a great partnership with FlashForge USA, which makes some really great 3D printers. There's also career videos. These are great for Zoom, for distance learning, to show these 2 to 3 minute long videos about careers and stimulate discussions. Parent activities, catalysts for at-home conversations, coding activities. Our coding block is really unique. These are offline activities for coding engagement, as well as working with code.org. I see Dr. Lori Lambert just joined. So glad to see Dr. Lambert. And so why Learning Blade now? And we're just excited that you're on this webinar, and is that the lessons are self-paced. The students can work at their own pace and get the corrective feedback as they're going through the lesson. They're constantly getting the assessment of how they're doing. And the teacher is getting the data, the input of student progress. As well, and I'll announce this towards the end, we've got a new offline option, which is an app in the Google Play Store for Chromebooks only currently, but we're expanding that. But for Chromebooks, that allows students who are internet insecure, as I call it, or don't have internet at home, to work on the Learning Blade lessons at home. So I'm going to launch a poll real quick just to see the people in the room. Let's see, Learning Blade. Have you used Learning Blade before? Launching that poll real quick to see the people in the webinar who's used it, who hasn't. Oh, wow, look at all those Learning Blade users. That's great. So those of you who have used it, it would be awesome for the people who haven't, if you want to leave a comment in the chat box, maybe saying what class you're using it in, what context, what you like about it. That'd be awesome. So we got about a 50-50 split right now. That's what I'm seeing. 50% have, 50% haven't. So those of you who have not yet used Learning Blade, you can register for your account by going to learningblade.com/SC for South Carolina. You fill out that form. It takes about 60 seconds, and we will often send you a way to log into your account and get started. And so Dr. Lambert in the chat says she uses it on virtual Friday work, which is great. A lot of schools are doing that in this COVID environment. Is there's that day where they're transitioning or they're cleaning, and so this Learning Blade's great for virtual work. Thank you, Dr. Lambert, for adding that comment. So really, that's the goal of Learning Blade, is through those 12 missions to provide context. Who on the chat's ever gotten a question from a student before? Teacher, when will I ever use this? And so Learning Blade's trying to answer that by providing the context. And so that is an important part of the mental development, the mental framework of a young person as they're seeing academics relate to the career paths in their future. And so they are aligned to, all the lessons are aligned to South Carolina standards. And I'm seeing some great comments in the chat box. So Ms. Nettles said that well thought out asynchronous and synchronous activities and multiple opportunities to learn content, modalities, and context, and different modalities and context. That's great. And Amy Baldwin, our hybrid students use it at home. I have students complete one tool and one teammate at home each week. Great, thank you all for sharing that. So, in Learning Blade, this is a list of the careers. You can notice here, just to point out, a lot of engineering careers: agricultural engineer, automotive engineer, biomedical engineer, mechanical engineer, logistics engineer, industrial engineer, nuclear engineer, power engineer. So really exposing to students what the engineering path is, but then there's so many other careers in the CS field. We have things like web developer and software engineer and logistics and UI UX designer. So we're just trying to expose students to these careers to supplement and enrich your curriculum, to provide context. And the way we do that is through these missions. So here's one of our more popular missions. I'm curious if anyone that said they were using it this year has touched the flu outbreak yet. But being that we're in a pandemic, the flu outbreak, what it is actually, it's a mixing of IT careers and healthcare careers to show students that, learning how to be a computer programmer or things with big data and social media, actually those skill sets, those tools, that knowledge is not just applied to gaming but it also can be applied to, real world pandemics, life-saving scenarios, gathering the data, tabulating the data, and using those CS skills in interesting contexts. And so here's our flu outbreak. If you take a look at epidemiologist, for example, there's an English lesson that's about 10 minutes long. What is an epidemiologist? A science lesson that's 10 to 15 minutes long, preventative methods, a math lesson, how does the flu spread, and then a history lesson. So there's about a 10 to 15-minute lesson in English, math, social studies, and science for each tool and each teammate. And so that's about an hour of curriculum for every circle you're seeing. Now, flu outbreak is just one of the missions in Learning Blade. There's a lot more curriculum. It's one of what I call the double-edged swords of Learning Blade. There's so much that it's amazing, and there's so much that sometimes you got to figure out where you want to go. And so that just requires a little bit of planning time. So here's just a few more diagrams. I'm not going to show you all 10, but here's my favorite, personal favorite, fresh food. I just think it's important for students to recognize that, food, we all eat food. And so there's a lot of careers behind that. And it's not all just farmer, right? There's agricultural engineers, there's microbiologists, there's agronomists. These are careers I didn't even know about until I started working at Learning Blade. So when I was a middle school teacher, I clearly never exposed my students in a meaningful way to agricultural engineer because I didn't know that that was a career. So that's where this can be a nice tool in the teacher toolbox to expand that career discussions. Yeah, the options are what make the planning fun and creative for the teacher. I agree. That's a great comment in the chat box. So thank you for that. Here's another one of our computer science missions. So like I said, the title of this webinar was STEM and computer science. We really think that computer science is the elephant in the STEM conversation. You need these skills in the 21st century. You need the understanding, at least the digital literacy about what is the cloud and how to protect your personal identifiable information, how to be safe. Also, what are the career paths? And so here's 10 hours of computer science curriculum on the Hack Attack curriculum. So what happens is teachers, you're gonna get your login when you fill out that form, and then students come to their login, they log in, and this is what it looks like. They choose a mission. They go to a full mission or an express mission. The full mission is all the lessons. The express is 25% of it. So it only takes 2.5 hours to complete one of those express missions. And as you can see, there's a lot of missions that you could launch with your students and really help them see themselves in STEM. There's that See Me in STEM, which is the South Carolina STEM Month motto. So once a student is directed towards a mission, let's say, hey, let's go to the manufacturing a concept car mission. They choose the tools or teammates that maybe the teacher, as I think it was Amy, says she has her students do one tool and one teammate a week. So that's about 2 hours of academic work a week that she's pulling out for her students. And when they do that, then what they're getting are these lessons that are based on introducing students to the careers while practicing academic standards in English, math, social studies, and science. And they're all foundationally built around reading informational text, which I personally look as probably the most critical college and career-ready skill. Can you read complex text and then process it out and then show your understanding of that? And that's where I think we do a special job with that. And so you can see on these slides here, just that there's about 20 to 30 pages in the lesson. The number of stars represents the number of academic questions students are learning about. And as they go through the lessons, they're introduced to careers in context. The lessons are aligned by standard. So some of you may be looking at this from, you can look at the coin from either side. Let's look at the career and expose it that way. Or let's look at the standard and find lessons that reinforce a standard that we're working on in class this week, this month, and then what careers are related to that standard. So we are aligned to standards grades 5 through 9, math, English, social studies, science, and technology. What I'd like to do is just share a little bit of, this is just a little bit of the research that's out there, which is essentially that students that log in, and some of you are using it, and I love hearing about how you're using it. We're seeing similar results in all of our data studies, which is you are exposing students to careers they didn't know about. 70% of students are saying they're learning about new careers. 76% saying they're learning about new technologies. 55% of students that are exposed to the computer science lessons in Learning Blade are now strongly agreeing that they have an interest in careers in computer science. I think that's about exposure. They didn't know what those careers were called or what they looked like, and now that they're seeing it, they're more interested, and that's exciting. That's exciting that we're opening their eyes, especially at this critical juncture, middle school, early high school, when they're really making consequential decisions. 79% increase in students recognizing math is helpful in solving interesting problems. I love that one. As a former math teacher, I taught math for 5 years, more than my science class, much, much more. When will I ever use this, right? But yet every single career and technology in Learning Blade has a math lesson. So you'll use it in all of those scenarios. So I think it's really reinforcing the need for working hard in your math class, because there's so many opportunities out on your horizon where those skills will be critically important. And now just a new announcement. This is for everyone. So those teachers that have said they already use Learning Blade, I don't know if you've seen this, but we have something called the backpack. We did send out an email, but it is for Chromebooks only currently. But what it allows is students to, when they're connected to the internet, to download the mission. And then when they go home and they don't have secure or reliable internet at home, to work offline on all of the Learning Blade online lessons, which were formerly just online. Now they can take them home with them in their backpack and work offline. And so there's a variety of ways to do that. Yeah, Patty Ann, we're excited about that. And really at the very beginning of COVID as a team, we said, this isn't okay. This digital divide, this equity issue in education is alarming and frustrating. And what can we do as a company? And I'm just so excited of what we've attempted. And so it's a different approach. So many are trying to figure out how to wire up, the people with hotspots and buses and this. We're looking at how to wire down, in a sense, like how to make sure that everyone right now can have access. And so there's information at learningblade.com/backpack, how to get that. It is in the Google Play Store. I'm just going to show you a screenshot of what it looks like. Essentially, looks just like Learning Blade. Students log in, they see the missions when they're online, they download it. So they do need to be at a hotspot or school to download the mission, and then they can work on it offline. It's on their Chromebook. So I'm going to save my live tour of Learning Blade for if there's questions, and later, maybe after we hear from STEM Educator of the Year, Patty Ann, if you'd like to reintroduce Tracy, and then Tracy can tell us about her experience.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Hey, don't knock my.
Uh-oh. We have an extra person, it sounds like, in the room.
Got that.
So let me quickly introduce Tracy, because I know you're all anxious to hear how she's using Learning Blade in the classroom. As you know, Tracy is our 2020 STEM Educator of the Year. She's a veteran teacher with well over 30 years of experience. She currently teaches automation and robotics, energy and environment, and flight and space to the students at, and I hope I say this correctly, Tracy, apologize if I do not, Lugoff Elgin Middle School in Kershaw County. When Tracy submitted her application for STEM Teacher of the Year, I think one thing that really set Tracy apart from the field is that she is in an area that doesn't have a lot of resources. And so she has to get very creative with engaging students in STEM education. And she really believes that you don't need to have big dollars and big budgets to teach STEM education well. One example of an activity that she told us about was taking her students to residents at a local assisted living home. And she had the students interview them and determine what they might need to make their lives easier. whether it be a larger bingo chip or a cup holder for a walker. And then through the interviews, the students proposed plans to design items for the residents, used 3D CAD prototypes to actually create them, and then delivered them to the residents. So she's done some great things in her classroom. So Tracy, we are honored to have you represent STEM education community, and we're glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was all before COVID.
Yeah, that's what I should have said before COVID. Things have changed a bit, I'm sure, this year for you.
Yes, definitely. I'm excited to be here with y'all. I believe that STEM education is critical to prepare our students for this ever-changing world that we have today. And STEM careers are some of the fastest growing and best paying jobs of the 21st century. So utilizing Learning Blade provides meaning and relevance in my curriculum. Learning Blade, like Josh said, is free from our state, and it does develop student interest in STEM and STEM career awareness for them and opportunities that are out there, and how those careers help to solve real world problems. And it also reinforces those academic standards and skills that we all are supposed to teach. I told Josh I wanted to share some pictures just so you could kind of see how I use Learning Blade. I don't necessarily go straight through a mission. I kind of pick things out of different missions that correlate with my curriculum that I teach. And out of the Dolphin Rescue, the Marshmallow Tower challenge, I use that as an introductory lesson on engineering design. And we talked about the design process, and they did a little sketch of their tower, how they wanted to connect those pieces together, and then they built them. They really enjoyed that. And then they did a flip grid response of, you know, what shape was the strongest shape and why, and what made your tower freestanding compared to not. And a lot of them, by the time they put the marshmallow on, poor little things, their little towers fail. But it was a great introductory lesson to the engineering design process on that. And I do like what Amy does. My Fridays are my Learning Blade days for the most part. Once in a while, because of outside influences or whatever, we have to kind of switch some things up. But while the students are working in their activities in the missions, they do enjoy creating the paper crafts of the tools and teammates that correlate with the mission that they're dealing with. So this is just a cute little fun, relaxing little opportunity for them to do, and they get to kind of see those pieces together. Sorry, I need to stop saying I didn't realize it. I use Learning Blade in my classroom as a reinforcement for the learning. For example, I teach about renewable energy. So I use the mission energy sources with my 7th graders, and the tools for renewable energy are excellent interactive slides to enhance their learning and understanding of these energy sources. And after they complete the activity, like on wind energy, then I have them design different prototypes. So this one is a tetrahedron kite. You can see where they were out there, and this is during COVID because they have their masks and separate, and they're having their kite fly. And we talk about, you know, how the wind is helping to create that lift for the kite. And that is in that energy source as well. They talk about kites in that mission. And then I also have them design a sustainable car that's powered by wind energy, a box fan, and we just use scraps, bottle caps, straws, paper balloons, whatever they, you know, we have for their car design, and they can see how the wind pushes their car, and they have to measure like the distance their car went, and they time it and come up with the speed of their car on that. So that just kind of helps with the wind energy. And as they work through the activities in the mission, they're able to apply the information to their designs, builds, and prototypes for the renewable energy sources. In Project Lead the Way, they use what they call an energy expo, where they design prototypes for the different energy sources. And I've just kind of regrouped because of COVID. We can't really be together, can't have big groups and, you know, things like that. So I just kind of redesigned some things and use a lot of trash to treasure per se. And in this picture, they've learned about hydropower through Learning Blade. And so now they're recreating their prototype of hydropower. And I use rice instead of water because it's easy cleanup and you don't have to worry about spills with water, especially when it is raining outside or too cold to go outside to do this. So they enjoyed that. And then we talked about solar energy, and they did the interactive slides on solar energy through Learning Blade, and they designed their solar power house. That it had to power 2 LED lights and a fan. And the box fan is there because the beginning of this, I like to incorporate literature a lot. We read The Three Little Pigs. And so they were building a solar house for the fourth little pig. And we needed to make sure that the house was durable and could withstand the high wind from the wolf. And our wolf was the box fan. So that's was with that. And then from there, they use the information they learned on renewable energy from Learning Blade and design interactive boards using Makey Makey to present their information to their classmates. And all of this creates a connection between STEM careers, real world problems that inspires and motivates the students to stay in STEM and have future careers. I use Learning Blade in all my classes. In addition to teaching energy and the environment, like Patty was saying, I teach automation and robotics. I teach 3D printing and flight and space to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I use the rescue robot mission with my automation and robotics students. And in there is an activity talking about new materials and product designs. And so I challenged them to build and test a safer football helmet. In this activity, we watched a news clip on how they test football helmets, especially with the concussions and injuries from the youth, and how they develop new tests for this. And so they developed their safety helmets. This came from the STEM Center, actually, and I kind of modified it a little bit. And they tested it. Their football player was an egg. Excuse me, I need a sip of water. No, that's rude, sorry. So from there are many activities that help students understand the careers and tools needed for robots in our world. For example, the students learn about electric circuits, mechanical engineers, industrial designers that make it possible for robots to be used in our world. And from that, I had my students create robots out of just raw materials. And this actually, I have done when we were virtual in the spring, but I have also done this in my classroom. And I just had a bunch of, I begged my teachers and church and everywhere, I want your trash, you know, cardboard boxes, pipe cleaners, whatever you have, I need it for my kids to do these design challenges. So you can kind of see some of their little robot designs. They enjoyed that. The robot had to stand. It did not have to move. They could make it move. I had motors in the classroom if they wanted to do that. The 3D modeling activity in the rescue robot fits perfectly with my 3D printing class. And Josh, that's actually a short little video clip of printing a face mask extender that my students did during the spring, and actually did send that to an assisted living for the nurse and staff there to use for the face masks.
I think I have the video loaded, sorry, but that's amazing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's in fast speed. The next one is about my flight and space students. I teach all about aerodynamics and gliders and planes. And
Hold on 1 second. I think I got the video. Can you guys see the video? There we go. 3D printing video in high speed.
maybe.
Well, okay. I'll go back to it. All right. Thank you.
It's fine.
My
It was
apologies.
super fun. I just got drones in, so I'm so excited about that. I am going to incorporate drones in my flight and space class, so I'm excited. They just came in. I haven't even had time to open them. But the lightweight aircraft mission goes well with my flight and space class to help them understand the heavier than air flight vehicles that we talk about, and the tools and teammates that are available in these missions help my students to see the importance of flight and how it saves time and money and energy and space. This is our taking off with paper airplanes that begins our study of gliders and now drones. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, I'll go on about STEM Educator of the Year. This has been a very humbling experience, as well as a powerful tool that has helped me to grow and transform my teaching. It was a tremendous opportunity to give the judges an insight into my classroom and how I integrate technology as well as outside resources to enhance the learning experiences for my students. It also allowed the judges to see how I use resources available to me. If you don't have a lot of money, a lot of funding, how can you do STEM and still have a great program? And it allowed me to show them that and to show them how my classes are interesting and motivating to my students. The process allowed me to share my leadership experiences and how I was able to implement a STEM program at my school and through my district. In addition, it allowed me to give the judges an insight into my professional learning goals and collaboration with my colleagues in my school, district, and my state. My platform for this year, as Patty was saying, is to help build a solid STEM foundation with little funding across the state, with a well-rounded curriculum for all students, no matter where they live, no matter their zip code. Being STEM Educator of the Year has helped me to network with many people across the state and even the world through many leadership opportunities. I have had the chance to share my voice on making important decisions with STEM in my district and the state, and I've been able to attend workshops and seminars to improve my own professional goals, just like the Learning Blade one. I have a great opportunity to share a variety of STEM activities, my students and students across the district. I've even shared some things that Amy has done with her students. And I've participated in a lot of different professional development things this year. I've been able to join and share in a variety of webinars and networks with colleagues across the state through the STEM Center of South Carolina, neighboring districts, Learning Blade, the National Inventors Hall of Fame, the South Carolina Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and the STEM Teacher Leadership Network, just to name a few. Collaborating with stakeholders and colleagues is essential to the success of STEM education, and the involvement of these stakeholders does enhance our STEM education by providing, hopefully, funding and equipment, cross-curricular collaboration, and real-world applications. We learn better together and improve our teaching and our learning experiences in our classroom. And as STEM Educator of the Year, there are many opportunities for PD and sharing with colleagues. But the $5,000 in your name and a picture on a billboard, not too bad either. I know this year has been tough, but I've been inspired by my colleagues at my school, district, and state to give students the most normal year possible. And using Learning Blade and other online resources have made this possible in making learning relevant, meaningful, and engaging for all of us. So if you have any questions about the application process or anything, just let me know. I'll be glad to help you.
Tracy, that was amazing. If you guys don't mind giving a applause in the chat box, tell her how great that was. if I could just make one comment about what you said about Learning Blade, and then I love to Patty Ann to tell more about STEM Month. But some of the things you saw, Tracy's using the online elements of Learning Blade to teach about the tools and technologies, but she's developing some of her own curriculum on the side for the engineering. She's using some of Learning Blade, but being very creative in her own process with those designing the robots. And so some of that was, and some of that wasn't the Learning Blade engineering process, but it sounds like, Tracy, you think the online lessons really help students connect to the careers and understand why they're doing those project-based learning hands-on lessons, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Great.
sir. Definitely.
There's some applause in the chat box. That was amazing. Patty Ann, I'm gonna pass it over to you and your slide so you can tell people more about all the great stuff you all are doing.
Excellent, thanks. And Tracy, thanks. That was awesome. I haven't had a chance to see the inside yet of Learning Blade, and it's interesting to see how you've been able to connect the two. And for having to be in kind of a hybrid scenario, Learning Blade really lends itself well to that. So I appreciate that. So welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Patty Ann Taylor, and I work with the South Carolina Coalition for Mathematics and Science, or SCCMS. And SCCMS is the parent organization of STEM Centers SC, who many of you know us for our work on schools and districts providing STEM instructional support. But today I'm here to invite you to participate in South Carolina's 2021 STEM Education Month. STEM Education Month is a month-long celebration, which begins on Pi Day, which is March 14th for all you math folks, and ends on March 11th. You can go forward, Josh. Thank you. This will be our 4th annual STEM celebration. Our first was a day-long event at the state capitol, and each year since, we've grown to what is now a statewide celebration. One thing has remained unchanged, which is we have 3, oh, you went too far. Josh, can you go back one? There, sorry, which we have 3 simple but critical goals. The first goal is to celebrate STEM education by highlighting the accomplishments and progress that's been made thus far in our state. The second one is to increase awareness of the importance of providing quality STEM education for all, regardless of zip code. We recognize that our state has a need for a STEM educated workforce, and know this must begin with a quality STEM education and access for our K through 12 students. And lastly, to have some fun by providing activities and events and opportunities for all to discover and experience STEM. As Josh mentioned, our theme for 2021 is See Me in STEM. And we want students, educators, business, industry, government, and community organizations to recognize a quality STEM education is one pathway to a better future, and for all to see themselves as somebody who can travel along that path. STEM Education Month offers lots of ways to get involved. We'll start by talking about the 3 signature programs which Tracy kind of outlines a little bit. Our first is Growing in STEM, which is our classroom grant. This program is intended to help classroom educators and or schools fund a new STEM initiative that's designed to address a current problem or instructional gaps. So 5 awardees will receive up to $2,500 to put towards their initiative. And the funds will be used for the 2021-2022 school year. So gives a little time for things to normalize. So kind of consider that as you think about what you might want to do. In 2020, I wanted to tell you about a couple of our awardees. One was St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic High School in Horry County, and they did a project called Empty Bowls, which they're working on this year. So they've got ceramic bowls that are going to be created and used as part of a fundraiser to help fight hunger in their local area. So the first segment of the project involves the art and chemistry classes. The students in the art class will be responsible for creating the bowls using their potter's wheel. The students in the chemistry class will be responsible for mixing and making the glazes that will be applied to the bowls. The English classes will be tasked with the media and technology needed for the fundraiser. The health and PE classes are going to be planning the menu, and the math classes are responsible for the budgeting. And then the completed bowls will be sold at a benefit event near the end of the school year, with the proceeds going to the local charity. Another of our grant winners was Oak Brook Elementary School in Dorchester County for their project called the Okie Bear Outpost. The engineers at their STEM school club, which is grades 3 through 5, will be exploring the low country environment and developing a habitat on the school campus to support the basic needs of the wild birds and other animals that are living in the area. And the habitat will be designed and created by the students, working step by step through the engineering design process from conception to completion. So the application process for applying for a grant is currently open. You can access all of the information via the main web page for the STEM Education Month, which is shown there. And I'll make sure Josh gets that link sent out to everyone as well, so you have it. The applications are due on January 22nd, and there is an online application. It's fairly short for you to take advantage of that. The next program is what Tracy has been involved with, which is the STEM Educator or Ambassador of the Year. This is a program that's managed in partnership with the SC Council of Competitiveness. And the program is designed to recognize STEM educators who have gone above and beyond for their STEM instruction, providing others a model for what excellence in STEM education looks like. So the program was recently turned over to the South Carolina Council of Competitiveness. It's going through a little bit of a revamp. So details will be released soon. The nominations are not available yet, but they will be soon. And we'll make sure we get that information out to folks when you can nominate folks. The winner will serve as a state STEM ambassador for the 2021-2022 school year. So just keep in mind that both the grant and the STEM Educator Ambassador of the Year submissions are due in January. And we do that so the winners can be recognized during our last signature program, which is the STEM Education Day at the Capitol, which occurs during STEM Education Month. And the STEM Education Day at the Capitol is going to be held on March 17th. During this event, we recognize our grant awardees as well as the finalists for the STEM Ambassador of the Year and the winner, along with some other recognitions of great things happening in STEM across the state. Due to COVID, the event will be live streamed beginning at 10 o'clock. So we hope you are tuning in for that celebration, and we're excited to celebrate all of those people. In addition to our signature programs, this year we have STEM stakeholders from all around the state that are partnering with us to create a calendar filled with activities, events, and opportunities that all can engage with throughout STEM Education Month. So some of these include obviously Learning Blade, and Josh talked a little bit about the 3D printer they'll be awarding, and that'll be for the school that completes the most lessons during STEM Education Month. We're also working with the National Inventors Hall of Fame, who will be hosting a week around the topic of an innovative mindset, and they'll be hosting a variety of live and asynchronous programming and activities. South Carolina Codes will be hosting live events with a focus on women and minorities in technology fields, as well as offering a free coding course. Midlands Tech is going to be hosting a week of live programming that'll be highlighting STEM technical career opportunities, because as we know, those are real important to let folks know about the opportunities that exist for students that may not be suited for a four-year degree. And then Roper Mountain will be hosting activities and events throughout the month from their new Environmental Science and Sustainability Center, which is scheduled to open in spring of 2021. So we're super excited for them. And there's lots more. So we encourage you to get involved, apply for a grant, nominate a teacher, participate in the competitions, events, and activities. Essentially, we just need your help to convey the message that a quality STEM education can be a pathway towards STEM careers for all students, whether they plan to pursue a four-year degree or technical training. South Carolina's workforce and education system has a place for them. Be sure to visit our webpage for more information on all these events, and we'll be continuously updating them as more are planned. So I want to thank you all for your time and support and all you do for South Carolina's students. And I will turn it back to Josh to help us close up.
Yeah, great. So there's a lot of opportunities for engagement, and man, applying for grants, what a great professional development opportunity for those of you on the call to bring some of that to your school and do some innovative stuff. So excited, Patty Ann, that you all are doing that. So now I'd like to ask anyone if they have any questions or feedback or comments. You do have the ability to unmute yourselves. If anyone wants to chime in, now would be a great time. And we look forward to what you might have to say. Oh, wait a second. Awkward silence.
Okay, Josh, I'll say something.
Okay, Dr.
Ever since I started working with you, when we first started this stuff in March, this has been amazing. The whole thing with Learning Blade and the activities for the kids and everything else, they just seem to get right into it. It fits in. Dolphin Rescue fits in amazing with 3D printing and with coding, because they have to create their own tail for the dolphin. So I extended it a little for the advanced kids. But I love the fact that you guys thought of the kids that aren't up to reading levels for grade level, that it can be read to them. So they're not left out. That is just amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Lambert. I did forget to mention that when I was sharing the slides, but there's an audio track on every page, and that's what Dr. Lambert is referencing. She's a STEM educator in Lexington, right? Is it Lexington?
Yep.
Yeah, Lexington. So yeah, there's an audio track on every page, which can be great for some of the lower level readers, for ELL, ESL students. And so thank you for reminding me of that. Well, yes, go ahead. Hey, Megan.
So I had looked at this a week or so ago, and because my class is a related arts class, I have a very mixed group of students with their ESL, special learning needs, 504s, the whole gambit, alphabet gambit. As far as like the math and English and social studies components, I know it has the read aloud features, but are students able to maybe like skip the math? It's just hard to give the math if I don't know their prior knowledge, especially when I would be looking at this for like the hybrid days and I'm not there to provide that support.
The answer is yes. So essentially when students log in, and I'm about to do that live and just sort of take you on that. And if any, maybe Amy, you on camera. So go ahead and chat as I pull it up.
Megan, I teach a related arts class, and I have all the way from kids who can't read anything all the way through. The one thing I do like about Learning Blade and the students who have like a shadow or whatever, they can actually do each lesson 3 times. So the cheat I kind of give my special needs kids is I tell them to try their best on it, and they write down the right answer. And the second time they go through it, they already have like their mini answer sheets. And I only tell them to do that. I guarantee you some of the other kids do as well. But it gives them the power of, I didn't understand it the first time, but they're hearing the vocabulary and things. So reading to them, and I encourage them. And as soon as I did that, the parents were like, they actually feel like they know all of it, even though they have no clue how to do the Pythagorean theorem that came up. They knew the answer was supposed to be 6. So it kind of gave them that empowerment, even if they didn't know the answer.
And
so
I had my parents,
Megan, that you use.
Yep. And I also had one of my parents who went through with their special needs child when we got thrown into that whole doing everything virtual. And she commented back to us at how great this was, because the kids, not only was it fun, but they also got to get those stars at the end for getting questions right. So the fact that they could try it more than one time for the answer was great, because sometimes they would get something backwards, and the other resources in there that's available. This is just great. I mean, it is great. It's great for when you have a sub and you need something for them to be doing that is related to STEM, instead of throwing together some crazy thing that doesn't mean anything. This means something. So it was great. I do drones. So Tracy, you're going to love the drones. I started a drone program last year, and all of these fit so perfect. I just love this thing.
Thank you, Dr. Lambert. Actually, Tracy, I'll connect you with Dr. Lambert since she's doing drones and you're doing drones, and Learning Blade has new drone lessons. But just relating back to Megan's question, real quick, Megan, there are multiple attempts, but the student can choose. Maybe if you used it in related arts more as a student choice, so that student that wants to stray away from the math can go into the English, and those might be a little bit, where they're getting a little bit of choice within the mission. So that's one thing. Another thing is there are also the video lessons. Every teammate has a video lesson. So even in your related arts, you could just pull in some of those video lessons to do some of that career exposure piece as well. And then I'd like to just log into a lesson and show you that each question is followed by the correct answer, just to highlight that for you. And so as the student might not know the answer to this next question, which is the author arguing for or against renewable energy, the next page is going to give them the correct answer. So they're still seeing the progression and the feedback as they go with the lesson. So every question, whether you get it right or wrong, is followed by the correct answer. And so that's for that student that's challenged with maybe what's the correct answer here, fossil's not the correct. So I'm going to get it wrong. If you get it wrong twice, you can then go forward and see what that correct answer is. So that's still giving them the information as they're progressing. Thank you for that question. And Tracy, I saw you were about to video on and add a comment to the conversation, please.
You were muted, Tracy.
Sorry, I always forget to do that. I said I teach related arts too, so I have the whole group as well, and I kind of do like what Amy does with going through the different options, the different times that they can do it. And some kids are like, I don't want to do that again. I'm like, come on, you don't want to accept that. Let's go through it again. You've already read through it once. It will be a lot easier the second time. But I'm excited about the drones, and Dr. Lambert, thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm a lot like you as far as I would get teachers to send me empty paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls and all kinds of crazy stuff, cardboard, styrofoam, and we would make the rocket race cars with balloon and styrofoam, and then they had to blow up the balloons to get them to work. All kinds of crazy stuff. Well, the kids got into wanting to do drones, so I went ahead and found a way to get us some drones, and then we built our own competition field out of PVC pipes, paper streamers, and pipe cleaners. And then our superintendent came down and checked it out with us one day. I mean, we had a ball. And if it could go wrong, it went wrong, especially when you want someone to see it. It's Murphy's Law, but it was amazing. It was just so cool. So now we're working on race cars. We're making our own race cars. So
Patty Ann, out of curiosity, would drones be an acceptable grant to try and connect students with that career and industry path for the grant program?
Well, and that's a really good question. I'll tell you, the grants that rise to the top are not just, I want a piece of technology. It's how you actually incorporate everything. So it has to be something a problem you're looking to solve with your students. So if you lead with a problem and there's an element of technology that you're purchasing, that would certainly be something that people have used grant money for. But it's really about what the problem is, how you can incorporate interdisciplinary subjects to solve that problem. And yes, it could be a technology element as part of it, but certainly is not the main focus of it. But that's a great question.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I think, are there any other questions? Oh, I realize we're knocking up on the hour here, and it's been really tremendous. And I thank Megan for your question, and Dr. Lambert for your including your comments. And Tracy Elmore, you are an exemplar of a STEM Teacher of the Year. Your creativity, your passion, your preparedness, and Patty Ann. You all should go and check out Patty Ann's and their organization's website, because there's so much to offer there. And so I'd like to say thank you all for joining today's webinar. I've included my email. If you have any questions about Learning Blade, please email me, joshua@learningblade.com. I see Patty Ann's included her email. She loves to respond to emails. She's very quick with her responses. She's like, and thank you, teachers, for what you're doing this year. You are frontline heroes, and I just salute you for the work you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us.
Hi, guys.